Log in to Chapter 4, Will. Press start to continue.
That's a good way to start this.
Hey. So, do you want to go to a digital world? To a place where monsters rule?
Oh boy, I can't wait to be one of the Digi-Destined. Oh no! A murder? Yeah, this case starts with, well, okay, right away, did you get Danganronpa 2 vibes out of the machine?
So, the computer itself is crazy. And I was really worried about some, 13th floor Danganronpa 2 Matrix shit, to where they're, in a simulation, and then inside, going into another simulation.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, if no one's ever seen the 13th floor, or Matrix, or anything like that,
watch the Matrix.
They're good. I like them. I like that weird kind of sci-fi thing. Oh, this is definitely going into some kind of sword art-esque ideas. So chapter 4 starts off, and really, there's really not much. The flashlight, the flashback lights doesn't really give them any more answers. So we hear about the meteorites.
Oh, yes, that's right. This is where we get introduced into the outside world and the fact that it is completely destroyed
by a meteor storm. And then you have the ultimate hunt.
Yes. Yeah, which Rentaro introduces in the prologue, actually.
And then what was the other memory they get? Oh, their funeral.
Yeah, that was also very ominous. So, right away, you're like, what's going on here? Nothing but death and destruction in the outside world. So when they introduce this machine, it's like, wait, what if they're in this sort of machine already, and this is a simulated world? You know, where their consciousness, their conscious, was uploaded into this world, and now that they found this machine, we're gonna be going into a world within a world, and again, like you said, it gets very Matrix at this point. But we get Miu is the one who figures out how this machine works, and then brings everyone into the machine
with their PlayStation VR goggles.
With their PlayStation,
I can't say it enough. God damn it! This game was supposed to have VR support.
Yes, it was,
and I don't see it anywhere on this front cover anymore. I see PS4, PS Vita connectivity. PS4 Pro enhanced. I don't even know how that works.
How does that work?
I mean, can this game go 1080-60?
Yeah.
Should it go 1080-60? Will we see the truth behind the pixels?
Well, we'll talk about that in Chapter 6's discussion.
Because that's what I thought the V stood for at the very beginning. I thought it was for VR, but V3. Because the 3 kind of looks like an R if you turn it upside down, and I don't know.
And scribble it out and write an R. Yeah, sure.
Also, you must have seen the VR demo for Danganronpa.
Yes, yeah. No, that's
super
right.
silly. It's super silly.
That's why I like that. Hey, that's a pretty logical connection you made, because I didn't even consider that the fact that this was supposed to be a VR supported game. And yeah, that could have very well played into the story. Who knows?
And it's not anymore though, which I guess probably for the best, because the way that you have the shaky movement, I probably would have thrown up everywhere.
It wouldn't have worked. It just, yeah, there's too much movement going on screen for that to really be successful.
Especially with the way the I guess letter placing, typefacing,
yeah,
for all the cases, how the words go all over the place, that would be insane to keep up with in VR.
It's a fun concept for sure, and I think one day it'll be perfected. Maybe if the game is built from the ground up with VR in mind. But the game in its current format won't work as VR.
Oh no. But they put on their VR goggles and they go into the cutest little chibi world.
With a stipulation, the fact that you have to plug in 2 wires into the goggles. One
consciousness
is for
and memory.
Consciousness and memory. Yep. I better not mix those
so
up.
Weird. So what if you just put in your consciousness and don't plug in the memory,
then you don't get to save your game unless you have a password.
But I mean, does the character just sort of like go like as an aimless avatar? Because it'll be in existence without a memory. That's so weird to me.
I mean, they sort of skirt by that, like those points of logic by Miyu just writing it off and saying, I don't know what's going to happen. And it's like, okay, well, if you don't know what's going to happen, no one's going to know what's going to happen.
No one's going to know what happens.
No. So yeah, we go into this cute chibi world. I think this was a great point in the game to introduce that because, you know, Danganronpa's format, it can get stale. You know, the whole visual novel approach. So the fact that, you know, not that it was getting stale at this point, but I think this was a great way to sort of like freshen up the format again.
If you press circle during any point of those texts while in the game, though, you'll skip over 8 boxes of dialogue.
But you can hit the select button, at least on the Vita, you can hit the select button to reread the dialogue.
I believe it's a touchscreen on PS4.
Yeah, so you're not totally screwed, but yeah,
like,
don't...
Woof.
Yeah, woof. Don't hit that circle button unless you're going through one of the trial cycles again and again and again, just to get to the final point so you can fire off your truth bullet that you missed the last time.
So through this whole chapter, it really feels like Kokichi is the murderer. He is taking pretty much charge of everything the other characters are doing almost.
Right. But again, this is one of those cases where it's like, it's sort of obvious who was, well, at least obvious who was in charge of the murder. But, you know, obviously the person who intended to commit a murder in this case isn't the one who commits a murder. That was clear in my head.
I didn't foresee Miyu being one that was going to try to murder, though.
Yeah, like when she was killed, it's like, oh man, it's totally Kokichi. But yeah, the fact that, and I think you discovered this through, did you discover it in the investigation or the trial? The fact that Miyu actually instigated an attempt on murder.
You find out through the investigation just by, clearly Kokichi was made to be a victim.
Right. Yeah. So, yeah, you know, it's Miyu. There you go.
She came as she went. That's not a double entendre, I'm pretty sure.
Because I was gonna say that's very Miyu.
A little too on the nose.
I applauded you for that, good sir. Yeah. Anyway, the case. This case is interesting. Well, the investigation isn't. No, not the investigation. The trial is interesting because you start learning more about the virtual world and how it was manipulated to work as a virtual world. And like by the end of it, it all makes sense. Like the way, oh god, it's very visual, so it's difficult to explain. But you know, Miyu basically programmed the world to her liking so that certain people would have certain privileges, like herself. You know, if Kokichi touched her avatar in the game world, Kokichi would be frozen and sort of stuff like that.
And only Miyu would be able to transverse areas normally that other characters couldn't, or at least via methods.
Yes, yeah, exactly. So we were very much playing in her domain. Yeah, in this whole case, it seems like Kokichi is the mastermind behind it, and in a way he is. Because, as we were talking about the wires earlier, one beloved character did not plug the correct wires into the correct ports. And that was poor.
But he plugged them into some ports. So it makes me think kind of like with AV. Sometimes your yellow and white doesn't really matter which way or no, is it white and red?
White and red, yeah, for audio. Yeah. Left and right, yep.
Yeah. But Gonta. So I didn't see Gonta doing it.
No, and you know what? That's a very fair statement to make because Gonta didn't even see Gonta doing it.
Oh man, but so whenever they get all out, Gonta is like he's saying a lot of things that don't make sense until the end of the case, to where he wasn't really sure what was going on. Because of the way he misappropriates his cables, he doesn't recall his actions while in the game.
Yep, exactly. Because again, the cables represent consciousness and memory. And because he messed those two things up, he didn't remember anything that happened during the simulation or the murder. And because his consciousness wasn't plugged into the right port either, the Gonta in the game wasn't really Gonta control of Gonta, which is why Kokichi was able to manipulate him as easily as he was.
It's such a shame, but Gonta, before everyone else besides Kokichi, learns the truth of the outside world, and it causes him to become almost a remnant of despair.
This is when we start seeing the remnants of despair hints being dropped again. And the outside world is teased. It's that's pretty much what leads to the murder. Miyu tries to kill Kokichi, but Kokichi has the upper hand with Gonta manipulated on his side. So Gonta ends up killing Miyu with his brute strength.
It feels so weird that Miyu would have toilet paper programmed in that world.
Maybe that was just a thing that she didn't program. Like that
something that she just forgot to take out. I could see that.
Yeah.
It's just, I don't think you have to poop in the virtual world, but I also don't see her as the type to use it.
But I feel like Miyu's the kind of person who would program that into the game world. Like, for whatever reason, kink, whateber. It's Miyu.
Yeah, it's Miyu.
That's all.
We all know what she is.
Yeah. I started to actually grow to like Miyu a little more by this point of the game, just before her death.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, I did too.
Yeah, because you start.
She made some really cool things.
She did. And the fact that she's this whole thing's a persona for her. Underneath it all, she's the totally filthy minded girl we all know and love her as. But the fact that her whole bravado is really just a shield for who she really is, I think was endearing and made me like her, right before her death.
She definitely did have her own charm, but that case, that was a pretty interesting case. It was a shame that I don't think anyone really gains too much out of it, except that everyone starts to super turn against Kokichi.
Yeah, this is when and that's exactly why I knew he couldn't be the culprit of this case, because everyone was pointing fingers at him, and it was so obvious that it was him, it's not going to be him. And also at this point of the game, Kokichi has been so well written, so well thought out, so well developed as a character. It's for story purposes, he's not going to die at chapter 4. If he's gonna die, it's gonna be in the final chapter.
He is definitely the antithesis to Shuichi. The perfect rival character almost.
Yeah, and it's just looking at Danganronpa as a series as a whole, it's amazing how they upped themselves from a villain like Junko Enoshima. Kokichi definitely steals the spotlight. And it's great. It's great. So the execution, the death, we deduce that it's Gonta. What do you think?
So the weird Monotaro Monofone side story. I'm man, okay, they're stupid.
Thank you for bringing that up.
They're stupid. Whatever. She gives birth to a giant bee that kills Monotaro, and then just impales himself through Gonta. I'm wow, this is, man.
There's a lot to unpack there. First off, we should mention, throughout this entire chapter, Monofani and Monotaro have this, all I can describe is as a Game of Thrones relationship. And it turns into a nightly drama that the characters are forced to watch every night, because they stop giving the characters updates on what's going on in the school, and it just ends up as a thing between the two. And then I guess she gets Monofani gets pregnant at one point. I love the fact that during the trial that comes up, and one of Himiko's white noise sentences is but what happens to them next? I wanted to find out. Like, that's just, like, what? Why would they waste text on this?
Oh, no, she was loving it. She's like, oh, that's a death flag.
Yeah.
I'll be surprised if he lives through this one.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Sumiki also gets wrapped up into it. It's like, oh, but this has to happen next because it's an anime trope. Like, guys, can we focus on the case? It's so good. So good. Yeah, but man, Gonta takes it like a freaking champ. Like, this execution, it was painful to watch because, like, he didn't know he did it. And the fact, like, I don't know if you remember this part specifically, but, like, freaking Kokichi was still mocking Gonta even when Gonta knew everything that happened. And Shuichi was like, yo, Kokichi, shut up. Like, if anyone's gonna explain to Gonta what's gonna happen, it's gonna be me. Like, that was just the most
sad.
It was
he finally gets his, like, oh, I'm not smart, but I get it. It's like, no, you weren't any help at all, but I still wanted to give you a hug.
Yeah, it's like, man,
he never got to be a perfect gentleman. He just got to be a good friend. Oh.
It's ironic that this all happens because of a bug.
Da-dum.
Hey. Chapter 4. Oh, I wonder if at any point they thought that while developing this chapter. Yeah, but that's chapter 4, and it's just, man, you know, it's a death that really wasn't. He didn't deserve that, man. Gonta really didn't deserve that. Kokichi deserved that, not Gonta. But as Monokuma made it very clear, like, no, it doesn't matter who planned the murder. It's whoever executes the murder is the blackened.
Such new rules in this game.
There are a couple new rules in this game, yeah. Even ones that Monokuma can't really keep up with by the end of the game.
But chapter 5. So, drama, suspense, thrills, chills. So chapter 5 is so heavy.
Yes.
So heavy.
That and this chapter is when we start to see Maki and Kaito get pretty close.
Oh yeah, that's because everyone finds out about his
4?
virus. No. At the end of chapter 4, everyone finds out Kaito's sick.
That's right. Yeah.
So then Kaito goes for his all or nothing. Let's swarm Monokuma. Now that all the cubs are dead, he can't use the exosols. Exosols, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So yeah, this chapter was so weird. So they don't find the flashback light. You don't find it, but instead you run into Kokichi. And he's like, "Here you go. Here are these hammers, so you can clear the platforming puzzle that you couldn't before."
Mm-hmm. Right, and then we get to go back to the road of despair.
So I will admit, the first couple times I tried it, I'm like, okay, maybe now that I've seen it, get done, maybe no, it's still so freaking hard.
Did you try to do it legit, Zarik?
I tried to do it legit with half the characters. I'm stupid.
Zarik.
That hammer makes things so much better. Holy crap!
Well, okay, I don't know about you, but I just spammed the square button the entire time.
Yeah, the hammer, like they say, the hammer has limited charges, but nah, it doesn't.
No,
like,
yeah.
You can use it through the whole thing.
Yeah, just mash the entire thing and jump when you need to, and you will clear that thing in a moment. Yeah. I don't think I died once, actually. I don't think I used up a single life, just because I was mashing the hammer the entire time. Yeah, but then we get to the end of the road.
You get to the truth.
Quite literally, yeah.
What is the outside world? It is fucked!
Yeah, it's apocalypse out there. No living souls. Everything is wrecked. Everything
is still on fire.